I hear the next ball is to be even more splendid than this
Oh,
one.
I do hope so. It will be nice to have some new faces to dance with.
What a pleasure it is to see you both this evening.
The pleasure is entirely ours.
Elspeth Roden stood in the narrow passage behind the ballroom doors and understood with sudden clarity what she could lose. Not comfort, not reputation, alone, but the fragile place she occupied in this house. She was the Duke's widowed cousin by marriage, a tolerated relation, a woman allowed shelter only because she caused no disturbance. Tonight threatened that balance. Music drifted through the doors, a slow country air, measured, proper. Beyond the threshold waited the guests of Hawthorne Hall, landowners, relations, watchful mothers, men who weighed women like assets. Elspeth smoothed her gloves, her hands trembled. She had not come to the house seeking notice. She had come because she had nowhere else to go. Her husband had died 14 months earlier, not dramatically, not heroically. He had faded, and with him, her place in the world. Hawthorne Hall had taken her in out of duty, out of blood, out of obligation that could be revoked. She survived by being invisible. That had been the rule, until Alaric Fenwick returned. She heard his name before she saw him. He moved through rooms like a shift in weather. He was the Duke's steward, recently appointed, recently arrived, and dangerously observant. Elspeth had noticed him 3 days ago in the East Corridor. She had been carrying ledgers. He had taken half the weight without asking. Their fingers had brushed. She had not slept properly since. Now his voice reached her again. Low, controlled, she closed her eyes once, only once. The door opened. Warmth spilled into the passage. Candlelight, sound, attention. She stepped forward because retreat would draw comment. Eyes turned, not all at once, not openly, but they turned. The ballroom glowed with polished floors and silk gowns, with conversation softened by manners, with expectation. Elspeth took her place at the edge of the room beside Lady Merrow, who had claimed her like a decorative plant. "There you are," Lady Merrow murmured. "I feared you'd escaped." Elspeth smiled because it was required. Her gaze lifted despite herself. He stood near the musicians. Alaric Fenwick did not belong to the room, yet it bent around him, tall, dark-haired, plainly dressed in black, no ornament, not noble, not guest, working. He was listening to a gentleman complain about the wine. He did not interrupt. He did not defer. He absorbed. He assessed. He glanced up. Their eyes met. The contact lasted too long. Elspeth felt it like a mistake already made. She looked away first. She always did. Lady Merrow leaned closer. "New steward," she said. Efficient, unsmiling, rather intense. "So I've heard," Elspeth replied. Her voice remained steady. Her pulse did not. The music shifted. A change of set, movement rippled through the room. Partners were chosen, arrangements made. Elspeth hoped no one would notice her stillness. "Mrs. Rowden." The voice came from behind her, not loud, not insistent, certain. She turned. Alaric stood close enough to be improper, close enough to be remarked upon. Conversation faltered nearby. Lady Merrow's brows lifted.
I can't believe she played that so well.
"Yes," Elspeth said. Her throat felt tight. "The Duke asks that you join the next set," Alaric said. His eyes did not leave her face. The lie was delicate, perfectly weighted. She knew because the Duke stood across the room deep in conversation, and because Alaric's expression held something sharper than duty. She understood the danger immediately. A refusal would appear rude, an acceptance would appear bold. Either choice would be observed. She began. Lady Merrow intervened with a satisfied hum. "How kind," she said. "You must go." Elspeth had no defense left. Alaric offered his arm. His touch through the glove was brief, formal. Yet awareness flared. They moved onto the floor. The set formed. Others joined. Space closed around them. "You should not have done that," Elspeth said under her breath. "I did my duty," he replied. She almost laughed. The music began. They moved in time, measured steps, proper distance. "I do not belong here," she said. "You belong where the Duke places you," he answered. His voice softened, just slightly. "That is the problem," she said. He glanced toward the watching crowd. toward the silent assessment. "You are being noticed," he said. "I know," she replied. "You are not usually." "I know." A turn, a pass. His hand steadied her elbow. She did not pull away. She should have. "I did not ask for this," she said. "Nor did I," he replied. Their eyes met again. This time neither looked away. The music ended. Applause followed. Relief rushed too late. Alaric released her at once, too quickly. He stepped back. "Forgive me," he said. For what, she wondered. For noticing her, for choosing her, for making her visible. The Duke's gaze swept the room then. Sharp, measuring, it landed on them. Elspeth felt the weight of it like a verdict delayed. She inclined her head. Perfect, unremarkable. Alaric had already moved away. Duty reclaimed him. But the damage remained. Whispers began before the next note was played. Elspeth returned to her place beside Lady Marrow. Her hands were cold. "Interesting," Lady Marrow murmured. "Yes," Elspeth said. She watched Alaric from the corner of her eye as he spoke to the musicians again, as if nothing had happened, as if everything had not. She understood then. She had been safe because she did not matter. She had survived because no one had reason to look closely. That safety was gone, because one man had looked at her and not looked away. Elspeth slept poorly, not from guilt, not from anticipation, from awareness. Morning light crept through the narrow windows of her chamber at Hawthorne Hall and found her already awake, staring at the ceiling, measuring consequences. The dance had ended. The room had moved on. Society always did, but attention lingered. That was the danger. She rose before the maid knocked, dressed herself with care that bordered on caution. Muted colors, no ornament. Invisibility required maintenance. Downstairs the house stirred with restrained order, footsteps, low voices, the distant clatter of breakfast service. She entered the small breakfast parlour assigned to lesser relations and sat alone at the table by the window, safe, peripheral, until the door opened. Alaric Fenwick entered with a ledger under his arm. He stopped when he saw her, not abruptly, not theatrically, but he stopped. Elspeth's spine stiffened. This was worse than the ballroom. There were no witnesses to shield them, no crowd to dilute intent, only space. He inclined his head, respectful, proper. "Mrs. Rowden, Mr. Fenwick." Her voice did not betray her. She was proud of that. "I did not expect company," he said. "Nor did I," she replied. Silence stretched, not awkward, loaded. He moved to the sideboard and poured coffee with deliberate calm, as if last night had been nothing, as if he had not altered the trajectory of her safety. "You should not seek me out," she said. He paused. "I did not," he said. She watched him carefully. "You entered," she said. "I work here," he replied. That was true, and insufficient. He turned with the cup in his hand, but did not sit. Distance remained. "You are unsettled," he said. "I am endangered," she replied. His jaw tightened. "That was not my intention. Intent does not undo notice." He set the cup down without drinking. "The Duke observed," she continued. "So did Lady Marrow. So did at least 3 women who measure value by disruption." "I am aware," he said. She studied him. He was not defensive, not dismissive. He looked careful. "That makes it worse," she said quietly. "Why?" he asked. "Because it means you will not be careless enough to retreat." The truth landed between them. He did not deny it. "I will not pretend I did not see you," he said. Her breath caught, despite her discipline. "That is not gallantry," she said. "It is cruelty." "No," he replied. "It is restraint, failing." She stood at once. That is precisely what must not fail. Her chair scraped softly against the floor, a sound too loud in the still room. "I survived by not being chosen," she said, "by not being interesting, by not inviting interpretation." "You did not invite me," he said. "You should not have answered." He held her gaze. "You were already seen," he said. Her hands clenched at her sides. "You do not know that," she said. "I do," he replied. "I noticed before last night." Her heart skipped. How? She asked. The servants adjust when you enter a room, he said. Not because you command them, because you do not. She said nothing. They watch to see where you will stand, he continued. Whether you will speak, whether you will be overlooked. That was too close. That is not concern, she said. That is analysis. I am a steward, he replied. You are dangerous, she said. His mouth curved faintly, not a smile. Acknowledged. She moved toward the door. This had gone too far already. Mrs. Rowden, he said. She stopped. Not because she wished to, because she could not seem to help it. I will not approach you publicly again, he said. I give you that. She turned slowly. And privately? She asked. He hesitated, just once. That hesitation told her everything. That, he said, will depend on whether you ask me not to. Her pulse thundered. You presume too much, she said. I presume honesty, he replied. She opened the door, then paused. You were not supposed to notice me, she said. Her voice was low, controlled. I know, he said. She left him there. The corridor beyond felt narrower than usual, the house more alert. She walked quickly, head high. But something had shifted. Not scandal, not yet, expectation. And expectation was the most dangerous thing of all, because it waited. Elspeth learned the cost of notice by degrees, not through confrontation, through omission. At luncheon, her place at the table shifted. Not far, not enough to protest, but no longer beside Lady Merrow. She was placed between a distant cousin and a vicar's wife who spoke only when spoken to. A demotion disguised as chance. Conversation moved around her, over her. She was discussed without being addressed. This, she understood, was assessment. She kept her posture composed, her expression mild. She did not look toward the head of the table, but she felt the Duke's attention like a held breath. He had seen the dance. He had not forgotten it. After the meal, the guests dispersed into smaller rooms. Needlework, cards, strolling the gardens. Elspeth chose the gallery. It was long, quiet, unfashionable, safe. She walked slowly past the portraits, ancestors she did not belong to, faces that had never needed permission to exist. Her reflection flickered in the glass, contained, orderly. She was reaching the far window when footsteps sounded behind her, measured, unhurried. She did not turn. Mrs. Rowden. The Duke's voice, low, controlled. She stopped, turned. Duke Calliston stood several paces away, tall, silver-haired, impeccably composed, authority without effort. My lord, she said. She curtsied with precision. Walk with me, he said. It was not a request. They moved together down the gallery, past painted victories, past inherited certainty. I observed you last night, he said. Yes, my lord. You danced? Yes. With my steward. Her breath remained steady. Yes. He stopped. She stopped with him. You are aware of your position here, he said. I am, she replied. You are here because I permit it. Yes, because I find no fault in you. Yes, that could change. The words were mild. The meaning was not. I have never given cause, she said. Not intentionally, he replied. She met his gaze. I did not seek the dance, she said. I know, he said. That unsettled her. You did not refuse it either, he continued. I could not without drawing attention. You could have declined quietly. With witnesses, she said. That would have raised more interest than compliance. He considered that. You are perceptive, he said. I have had to be. They resumed walking. I do not object to harmless civility, the Duke said, but I do not tolerate disruption. I understand, she said. My steward is new, he continued. He is not yet fully attuned to the balance of this house. She did not respond. That balance protects you, he said. Yes. And it protects him. She stopped again. He turned to face her. You will keep distance, he said. She inclined her head. Of course. He studied her face. Is that difficult? He asked. The question was unexpected. No, she said. It was not the truth. It was necessary. He nodded once. Good, he said, because I would regret having to correct the impression. What impression, my lord? She asked. That you might wish to matter. The words struck with quiet precision. She did not flinch. I do not, she said. He watched her for a moment longer, then turned away. You may go, he said. She curtsied again. Perfectly. When she straightened, he was already walking back toward the other rooms. Elspeth stood alone in the gallery. Her legs felt weak. Her resolve did not. She had been warned, not harshly and not publicly, but clearly. She moved toward the window and pressed her gloved hand to the glass. Below, the garden spread in orderly lines, gravel paths, trimmed hedges. She watched as Alaric crossed the far lawn, deep in conversation with a footman. He did not look up. She told herself that was relief. That evening she remained in her chamber. She declined tea, declined company. Silence was safer. She was unpinning her hair when a knock sounded. Not the maid's. She froze. The knock came again, soft, deliberate. Elspeth. Her name. Spoken quietly. She crossed the room and opened the door only enough to see him. Alaric stood in the corridor, unadorned, serious. You should not be here, she said. I know, he replied. They spoke to me, she said. So they did to me, he answered. Her chest tightened. You must stay away, she said. I will, he said. She waited. But not tonight, he added. The danger sharpened instantly. Why? She asked. Because if I leave now, he said, you will believe this can be undone. She met his eyes. It could not. She knew that. He knew that. The corridor felt too narrow. Say it, he said. What? She whispered. That I should go, he said. Say it, and I will. The choice hovered between them. Authority pressed from one side, desire from the other. She did not speak. Alaric nodded once. Then I will stay only long enough to tell you this, he said. He leaned closer, careful, contained. You are not supposed to matter to me. The words landed, spoken, undeniable. Her breath left her in a rush. And yet, he continued softly, you do. Footsteps echoed at the far end of the corridor. Alaric stepped back at once. Distance restored, damage done. He turned away without another word. Elspeth closed the door and leaned against it. Her heart raced. Her future felt suddenly fragile. The house knew now, and it would not forget. Elspeth did not cry. She sat on the edge of her bed long after the corridor fell silent and forced her breathing to slow. Crying would have implied release. There was none. The words echoed instead, quiet, persistent. You were not supposed to matter to me. They were not romantic, not indulgent. They were dangerous. Morning arrived with consequence. She descended to breakfast later than usual and felt it at once. Not censure, not curiosity. Distance. Servants moved with increased formality. Guests spoke a fraction less freely near her. She had crossed from invisible to observed. That line was unforgiving. She took her seat and kept her eyes on her plate. The Duke did not appear. Relief came too easily. It was replaced by tension when Alaric entered the room moments later. He did not look at her. Not once. He moved directly to the sideboard, consulted a note, spoke quietly to a servant, and left again. Efficient, contained, correct. It should have soothed her. It did not. The day unfolded with small tests. A pause too long before a response. A glance held a breath too long. A sudden silence when she entered a room. Elspeth passed them all with composure. She had learned early how to endure judgment without reacting. What she had not learned was how to endure restraint that felt deliberate. That afternoon, Lady Merrow cornered her near the windows overlooking the drive. You are being careful, Lady Merrow observed. I always am, Elspeth replied. Yes, the woman said, but more so now. Elspeth did not answer. The Duke values harmony, Lady Merrow continued, and clarity. So do I. Lady Merrow smiled thinly. Then you will understand why unnecessary attachments unsettle him. Elspeth met her gaze. There are none, she said. Lady Merrow studied her a moment longer. Good, she said, because sympathy is easily mistaken for ambition. The woman moved away. Elspeth remained by the window until her pulse steadied. That evening, the household gathered again. Not a ball, a smaller assembly, music, cards, conversation arranged like furniture. Elspeth chose a chair near the wall and occupied herself with embroidery she did not need. Alaric moved through the room with quiet authority. He spoke when required, listened more. Never once did he approach her. Never once did their eyes meet. This was what safety looked like. It felt like punishment. She rose early to leave the room and found him in the passage outside. He had been waiting. That alone was reckless. "You should not," she began. "I know," he said. His voice was low, urgent. "I will not speak to you again after this," he continued. Her breath caught. "You promise restraint," she said. "I promise distance," he replied. "They are not the same." She folded her hands tightly. "This is how it must be," she said. "Yes," he agreed. That frightened her. He looked at her fully now. No disguise. No distance. "You will be fine," he said. "That is not reassurance," she replied. "No," he said. "It is resolve." Footsteps approached. Alaric stepped back at once. She watched him go, knowing this was not an ending, only a pause. Later that night, the Duke summoned her. His study smelled of leather and old paper. Authority lived there. "You have been discreet," he said. "I intend to remain so," she replied. "I trust that," he said, "for your sake." She understood the conditional nature of that trust. When she returned to her room, exhaustion settled into her bones. She closed the door softly and leaned against it. Distance had been restored, but something had already been claimed, and she knew. With a clarity she could not deny. Distance would not give it back. The next morning brought a summons, not from the Duke, from his sister. Lady Bramwell ruled her mornings with precision and her afternoons with purpose. She was kindness sharpened by intelligence, and she saw everything. Elspeth was escorted to the small sitting room overlooking the south lawn. Sunlight fell generously there. Nothing else did. Lady Bramwell gestured to the chair opposite her. "Sit," she said. Elspeth obeyed. "You have caused a ripple," Lady Bramwell continued. "I regret that," Elspeth replied. "I do not," the lady said. "I regret only uncertainty." Elspeth remained still. "You are not foolish," Lady Bramwell said. "That is why I am speaking to you directly." Elspeth lifted her gaze. "I am listening." Lady Bramwell folded her hands. "My brother tolerates what does not demand response," she said. "He does not tolerate ambiguity." "I have offered none," Elspeth said. "Not deliberately," Lady Bramwell replied. Elspeth felt the familiar pressure settle. "You were danced with," the lady continued. "You were noticed, and now you are being watched." "I did not seek that attention." "No," Lady Bramwell agreed, "but neither did you flee it." Elspeth chose her words with care. "Fleeing invites pursuit," she said. "Compliance ends interest." Lady Bramwell studied her. "That is a lesson learned at cost," she said. "Yes." Silence fell. Then, gently, "Do you care for him?" The question struck cleanly. "No," Elspeth said at once. Lady Bramwell nodded. "Good," she said, "because caring would complicate matters beyond repair." Elspeth stood when dismissed, her legs held. Barely. She crossed the gallery afterward and felt eyes track her movement. The house was alert now, alive to possibility. She found the garden and walked until the gravel paths blurred. At the far edge, beneath the beech trees, Alaric stood alone. She stopped short. He turned. Their surprise mirrored. "You should not be here," she said. "Nor should you," he replied. The garden was too open, too visible. "We must stop this," she said. "We have," he answered. "That is not what this is," she said. Her voice shook despite her resolve. He stepped no closer. "I am leaving Hawthorne," he said. The words landed with weight. "When?" she asked. "Within the fortnight." Her breath caught before she could stop it. "That is unnecessary," she said. "It is inevitable," he replied. "You are not dismissed." "I am choosing," he said. She closed her eyes briefly. This was worse than staying. You will be remembered, she said. So will you, he replied. She looked at him then, truly looked. You will be safe, he said. That is not comfort, she replied. It is all I can offer. Wind moved through the leaves. Witnesses murmured beyond the hedges. Do not make a martyr of yourself, she said. I am making distance, he answered. She laughed once, quiet, bitter. That did not save us before, she said. His jaw tightened. I meant what I said, he told her. That night. I know, she said, and I will not unsay it. Then you must go, she said. I am, he replied. She turned away before he could see her expression fail. She did not look back. That evening, the household buzzed. News travelled faster than truth. Elspeth learned of his departure through implication, through lowered voices, through glances that held speculation. She sat alone that night and understood the cost of restraint. It did not erase feeling, it only postponed consequence. And consequence, she knew now, always arrived. Alaric's departure became fact before it became farewell. Trunks appeared near the service stairs. Ledgers were redistributed. Orders were given with practiced calm. The house adjusted. Elspeth felt each adjustment like a bruise forming beneath silk. She avoided the south lawn, avoided the corridors he favoured, avoided anything that might resemble intention. It did not matter. Absence carried its own weight. At breakfast, his chair was empty. At luncheon, a footman hesitated before answering a question he would once have directed elsewhere. At dinner, the Duke spoke of efficiency and continuity. No names were used, none were needed. Elspeth ate little. That evening, Lady Bramwell found her in the small music room, pretending to read. You have been quiet, the lady observed. I am always quiet, Elspeth replied. Lady Bramwell studied her for a moment. Yes, she said, but not hollow. Elspeth looked up. He leaves tomorrow, Lady Bramwell continued. I know, Elspeth said. Do you? The lady asked. Or have you chosen not to know? Elspeth closed the book. I know enough, she said. Lady Bramwell nodded once. That is usually how women like you survive, she said, by knowing enough, and no more. She moved to the door, then paused. For what it is worth, she added, you handled this with restraint. Elspeth inclined her head. That is what was required. Yes, Lady Bramwell said, and it is never free. After she left, Elspeth remained seated until the candles burned low. Then she rose, not with urgency, with resolve. She found herself in the service corridor without remembering the decision to go there. The house was quieter now, staff moving softly, doors closing gently. Alaric stood near the far end, speaking to a young footman. He dismissed the boy and turned. He did not look surprised. You came, he said. I should not have, she replied. No, he agreed. They stood several paces apart, too far to touch, too close to pretend nothing existed. They will watch tomorrow, she said. Yes, he replied. They will expect composure. Yes. She inhaled slowly. Then this is the only moment that belongs to us, she said. His expression shifted, not hope, recognition. You should speak, he said. Or I will. She shook her head. If you speak, she said, I will not be able to stop you. He accepted that. She stepped closer. Not into impropriety, into truth. You leave, she said. I do, he replied, and you will not return. No, that is not a question. No. Her throat tightened. You said distance was resolve, she said. It is, he replied. And yet you stand here. Yes. She laughed softly. That is not restraint, she said. No, he agreed. It is defiance. Silence pressed in around them. She lifted her eyes. I will not ask you to stay, she said. I would not accept it, he replied. I know. She nodded once. I needed to see you, she said. So did I, he answered. That admission felt heavier than confession. You must not remember me, she said. I will, he replied. You must not compare, she continued. I will, he said again. You must not let this ruin what you build next. His gaze softened. It will shape it, he said. Not ruin it. She exhaled. That was worse. Footsteps sounded in the distance. Time reasserted itself. You should go, she said. Yes, he replied. He hesitated. Just once. I did not plan this, he said. Neither did I, she replied. I did not come to Hawthorne to feel, he continued. Nor did I, she said. He met her eyes fully. You were not supposed to matter to me, he said. The line landed again, not new, deeper. She did not answer, because if she did, she would cross a line she could not retreat from. Alaric stepped back, distance returned. He inclined his head, formal, final. She watched him walk away. This time she did not follow. The house would wake tomorrow unchanged. But Elspeth understood something now. Distance did not end feeling. It only taught it where to wait. Morning came without ceremony. Elspeth dressed as she always did, carefully, deliberately. If the house noticed anything different, it did not comment. That was its talent. She descended late enough to avoid farewell scenes and early enough to avoid suspicion. Balance was survival. The breakfast room was nearly empty. A servant poured tea without meeting her eye. She thanked him anyway. Outside, the drive echoed with movement. Wheels, orders, departure. She did not look. She could not afford to. Conversation drifted in fragments from the corridor. The steward. A pity. Efficient fellow. No one said his name. They never did when something mattered. By midday, Hawthorne Hall had already begun to forget him. That, Elspeth realized, was the sharpest cruelty of all. She spent the afternoon in the sewing room with two women who spoke too brightly and laughed too easily. They discussed weather, menus, nothing that required weight. Elspeth contributed when necessary. She did not think of the service road beyond the hedges. She did not imagine the sound of hooves moving away. She refused both. Late in the day, the Duke summoned her again. This time he did not stand when she entered. He gestured to the chair. You have conducted yourself well, he said. She inclined her head. The matter appears concluded. Yes, my lord. You understand why it was necessary? I do. You will continue here without disturbance? Yes. He studied her for a moment longer. Good, he said, because stability is a gift, not easily extended. She rose when dismissed. Her composure did not falter. Only when she reached the corridor did her breath shake. She pressed her palm briefly to the wall. Just once. That night, rain fell, soft at first, then harder. It tapped against the windows like insistence. Elspeth sat at her desk and wrote a letter she would never send. She did not address it, did not sign it. She wrote only what she could not say aloud. When the ink dried, she folded the page and placed it at the bottom of her drawer. Then she extinguished the lamp. Sleep came late, and when it came, it was not gentle. The days that followed were quiet, too quiet. No glances held too long, no pauses thick with meaning. Safety returned, so did emptiness. She learned to move again without anticipation, learned to breathe without listening. Until the morning the footman arrived at her door. He stood awkwardly, apologetic. There is a visitor, he said. For the Duke. She nodded. And for you, he added. Her pulse spiked. That is unlikely, she said. He insisted, the footman replied. She hesitated. Who? She asked. A gentleman, he said. Recently arrived. That was not enough. Her hand tightened on the door frame. What name? She asked. The footman cleared his throat. Mr. Fenwick, he said. The world tilted, just slightly. Her heart raced before she could stop it. That is impossible, she said. So I thought, the footman replied. She forced herself to breathe. To the drawing room, she asked. Yes, madam. He withdrew. Elspeth stood alone for a long moment. This was not safety. This was consequence. She smoothed her dress with hands that trembled only a little. Then she went to meet whatever had returned. Elspeth paused outside the drawing room. Not to compose herself, that would have been dishonest. She paused to decide whether to enter at all. Inside waited disruption, certainty disguised as return. She opened the door. Alaric stood near the fireplace, not alone. The Duke faced him, arms folded, expression unreadable. Conversation halted the moment she crossed the threshold. "Elspeth," the Duke said, not unkindly, not warmly. "Mr. Fenwick has returned with a petition." Alaric turned. Their eyes met. The contact was brief, necessary, contained. "Mrs. Rowden," he said, as if they were strangers. "As you see," the Duke continued, "this concerns the estate." Elspeth inclined her head. "Of course." She took the chair offered without comment. Alaric remained standing. "I was dismissed," the Duke said calmly, "and yet you have returned." "I was not dismissed," Alaric replied. "I resigned." The distinction mattered. The Duke's gaze sharpened. "And now?" "Now, I am no longer in your employ," Alaric said. "I come with information that affects your holdings." Silence settled. Elspeth's hands folded in her lap, still. "Continue," the Duke said. "There is a pending sale of land bordering your southern fields," Alaric said. "It is being negotiated quietly." The Duke's posture changed. "By whom?" he asked. "By a consortium seeking access to the river," Alaric replied. "They intend to approach you last." "And you bring this to me, why?" the Duke asked. "Because I know their terms," Alaric said, "and their tactics." The Duke studied him. "You are no longer obligated." "No," Alaric agreed, "but I am still informed." Elspeth listened without appearing to. This was not coincidence. This was leverage. "You will remain for dinner," the Duke said suddenly. It was not a question. Alaric inclined his head. "If you wish," the Duke turned to Elspeth, "you will join us." Her breath caught. "Yes," she said. Dinner unfolded with careful civility. Information was exchanged, questions asked, answers given. Alaric spoke with precision. Never too much, never too little. Elspeth spoke only when addressed, but awareness threaded the table. When the meal ended, the Duke rose. "We will speak further tomorrow," he said to Alaric. "You may stay the night." The words settled heavily. "Yes, my lord," Alaric replied. The Duke left them, not abruptly, not pointedly, deliberately. Elspeth remained seated, so did Alaric. Neither spoke, until the door closed. "You should not have come back," she said. "I did not come back for you," he replied. That stung. "Good," she said. "Do not mistake me," he continued. "I knew this would place you in difficulty." "Then why?" she asked. He hesitated. "Once. Because leaving did not remove the risk," he said. "It only delayed it." She stood. "You have made it worse." "Yes," he agreed. That frightened her. "Tomorrow," she said, "they will speculate." "They already do," he replied. "You will be watched." "I already am." She turned to face him fully. "You were gone," she said. "That was safety." "No," he said. "That was illusion." Her chest tightened. "You cannot stay," she said. "I will not remain long," he replied. "That is not reassurance." "No," he agreed. "It is truth." Silence stretched again. Then, quietly, "Did you think of me?" he asked. She did not answer at once. That answer mattered too much. "Yes," she said finally. He nodded. "As I did you." The admission was soft, unavoidable. Footsteps sounded beyond the door. Reality returned. "You must not speak to me," she said. "I will not," he replied. "You must not look at me." "I will try." She almost smiled. Almost. He stepped back. Distance restored again. But the room felt smaller, as if the walls had shifted. Elspeth left without another word. That night, she lay awake listening to the house breathe. He was under the same roof again. And whatever balance had once protected her had already begun to fail. Hawthorne woke alert, not loudly, not openly, but alert. Servants moved with an edge of purpose. Doors opened more softly, voices lowered without instruction. Elspeth felt it before she saw it. She dressed with greater care than usual, not to attract, to withstand. Muted silk, hair pinned precisely, nothing that invited comment. Breakfast passed with strained normalcy. Alaric did not appear. That too was noted. By mid-morning, speculation had taken shape, not accusation, inference. Elspeth crossed the west corridor and heard it break off mid-sentence. Only returned because the Duke would never... She did not slow. She did not turn. In the garden, Lady Bramwell intercepted her. "You are calm," the lady observed. "I practice," Elspeth replied. "That is unwise today." Elspeth stopped. "Why?" she asked. "Because calm implies knowledge," Lady Bramwell said, "and knowledge implies influence." "I have none," Elspeth said. Lady Bramwell studied her. "You have more than you think," she replied. They walked together along the path. "My brother is considering Mr. Fenwick's proposal," Lady Bramwell continued. "That alone gives him renewed presence." "And renewed scrutiny," Elspeth said. "Yes." They stopped beneath the beech trees. "I will be direct," Lady Bramwell said. "This cannot continue." "There is nothing to continue," Elspeth replied. "That is not how it appears." Elspeth met her gaze. "Then appearance must be corrected," she said. Lady Bramwell sighed. "That will require sacrifice." "I am familiar with it," Elspeth replied. The lady's expression softened briefly. "Be careful," she said. Elspeth inclined her head. That afternoon the Duke summoned Alaric again. Elspeth knew because the house knew. She avoided the study, avoided the gallery, avoided everything that felt like proximity. It did not help. In the late afternoon, she turned a corner and nearly collided with him. They stopped short, too close. Instinct reached for composure. "You should not linger here," she said. "I was leaving," he replied. His voice was controlled, tighter than before. "They are watching," she added. "Yes," he said. Silence pressed. "I will be gone by tomorrow evening," he said. Her heart skipped. "That is soon," she replied. "It must be. You cannot decide that unilaterally." "I already have." She drew a breath. "Then say nothing more," she said. "Let this end cleanly." He looked at her then, fully. "That is not possible," he said. Her throat tightened. "Why?" she asked. "Because it did not begin cleanly." Footsteps echoed. They stepped apart at once, distance reclaimed. A servant passed without looking up. When the corridor cleared, Alaric spoke again. "They have offered me a contract," he said. Her pulse surged. "You accepted?" she asked. "No," he replied. "Why not?" she demanded. "Because acceptance would bind me here," he said, "and bind you to speculation. That is already happening." "Yes," he said, "but it would make it permanent." She closed her eyes briefly. This was not defiance. This was consideration. "You should accept," she said. "I will not," he replied. "Why?" she asked again. He hesitated, only a fraction. "Because I will not remain where you are forced to pretend I am nothing." Her breath left her sharply. "That is survival," she said. "It is erasure," he replied. They stood too close again. "You must go," she said. "I am," he replied. "Then go," she insisted. "I will," he said. Neither moved. A door opened at the far end of the corridor. Voices followed. Time returned. Alaric stepped back. Distance restored once more. "Tomorrow," he said quietly. She nodded. That night, the Duke announced his decision. The land would be secured, the matter resolved, Alaric's contribution acknowledged, privately, his departure confirmed. Publicly, Elspeth felt the finality settle like a seal. Later she stood at her window and watched the drive. Torches flared, carriages came and went. She did not know which one would carry him away, only that it would. Unresolved was the kindest word for what remained, because endings, she had learned, were rarely clean. And this one was already watching her leave it behind. Elspeth rose before dawn, not from habit, from necessity. Sleep had fractured into brief, restless intervals. Each ended the same way. With awareness. The house was quiet in that peculiar way that followed decision, resolved, settled. She dressed without assistance and moved through the corridors while lamps still burned low. No one stopped her. No one needed to. She reached the small morning room overlooking the drive and stood there, hands folded, posture composed. This was not farewell. It was witness. The sound came first. Hooves on gravel, measured, unhurried. A carriage stood near the steps. Torches flickered. Shadows moved. She remained where she was. Alaric emerged from the side entrance, carrying nothing but a coat over his arm. No trunks followed. That surprised her. He paused at the foot of the steps, not to look back, as if listening. Then he turned, not toward the house, toward the window, toward her. Their eyes met across distance, across glass, across consequence. He inclined his head, once, formal, contained. She did not wave. She did not move. She acknowledged him with stillness. The carriage door opened. He entered. The door closed and wheels turned. The sound faded. Elspeth stood long after the drive emptied, long after the torches were extinguished. Only when light began to edge the sky did she step away. The house woke slowly. Breakfast resumed. Voices returned. Normalcy reasserted itself with practiced ease. Elspeth was praised for her composure. She accepted it without comment. At luncheon, her seat was restored. At dinner, conversation addressed her directly again. Balance returned. That was the victory. It tasted like ash. That afternoon, Lady Bramwell found her in the gallery. "You have endured this well," the lady said. "I endured," Elspeth replied. Lady Bramwell considered her. "Yes," she said, "and now you will continue." Elspeth nodded. "Of course." "You understand why this was necessary," Lady Bramwell added. "I do," Elspeth said, "and you accept it." Acceptance was a complicated thing. "Yes," Elspeth said. The lady's expression softened slightly. "Good," she said, "then this chapter is closed." Elspeth did not correct her. That evening she returned to her room and opened the drawer at the bottom of her desk. The letter lay where she had placed it. She unfolded it, read the words she had never sent. Then she folded it again. She did not destroy it. Some truths survived by remaining unread. Weeks passed. Winter edged closer. The house spoke of new concerns, new arrangements. Elspeth resumed her careful role. She was pleasant, unremarkable, safe, until the letter arrived. It bore no seal, no return address, only her name. She opened it slowly. The paper was plain. The hand unmistakable. I did not build distance to forget. Her breath caught. I built it to endure. The letter ended there. No signature, no promise, no request. Elspeth folded the page with care and returned it to the drawer. She sat very still. Distance had been reasserted. But endurance, that was something else entirely. And she understood with quiet certainty. This was not over. Elspeth understood the shift before anyone named it. The house had accepted Alaric's return too easily. That was the warning. He moved again through Hawthorne Hall with authority that no longer startled. Orders resumed, ledgers reopened, efficiency restored. But something else had returned with him, expectation. It followed them like a held breath. Elspeth altered her habits at once. She rose earlier, retired sooner, chose rooms with more witnesses. Restraint became strategy. It did not prevent collision. They met in the library 3 days after his return, not by chance, by design. The Duke had sent them both. Elspeth arrived first and positioned herself near the window. Distance claimed, posture correct. Alaric entered moments later. He closed the door. Not fully, just enough. The room felt smaller instantly. "This is unwise," she said. "Yes," he replied. "You are being watched," she continued. "Always," he said. "That does not excuse this." "No," he agreed, "but it explains it." She turned to face him. "You promised distance," she said. "I promised not to pretend," he replied. "That is not the same." "No," he said, "it is harder." She exhaled sharply. "This arrangement will end," she said. "You will leave again." "Yes." "Soon." "Yes." "Then do not do this," she said. He did not move closer. That was restraint. "You think I returned because I could not endure distance," he said. She did not answer. "I returned because distance taught me something," he continued. Her pulse quickened. That loving you quietly would still cost you, he said. The word struck, loving, spoken plainly, without adornment. You cannot say that, she said. I just did, he replied. Her breath shook. You are binding me to this, she said. I am offering truth, he answered. That is selfish, she said. Yes, he agreed, and controlled. Footsteps passed outside. Reality pressed in again. You must stop, she said. I will, he replied. When? When the Duke dismisses me, he said. Or when you tell me to leave now. The choice returned, sharper than before. She closed her eyes briefly. If I ask you to leave, she said, you will go. Yes, and it will end. Yes. She opened her eyes. Then she did not speak. The silence was answer enough. Alaric nodded. I will remain only until spring, he said. That is not mercy. No, he said. It is containment. The door opened. The Duke entered. Both stepped apart instantly. Good, the Duke said. You're both here. They answered him evenly. The meeting proceeded. Business concluded, but something irreparable had been spoken. That night, Elspeth stood alone in the garden. Cold bit through her gloves. Stars burned indifferent above. She understood the truth at last. The danger was no longer discovery. It was decision, and decision demanded loss. She did not yet know which loss she could survive, but she knew. The choice would be forced, soon. Spring arrived with decision, not gently, not gradually. It arrived as consequence. The Duke announced his return date at breakfast, 3 days hence. The household shifted at once. Plans adjusted, expectations tightened, endings prepared. Elspeth listened without reaction. She had reached the edge of endurance. Beyond it, waited choice. That afternoon, Lady Bramwell requested her company for a walk. The air was cool, bright, honest. They moved slowly along the south path. My brother will not keep Mr. Fenwick beyond his return, Lady Bramwell said. I assumed as much, Elspeth replied. And yet, the lady continued, he has not dismissed him. Elspeth stopped. That is unusual, she said carefully. Yes, Lady Bramwell agreed, and deliberate. They resumed walking. He values stability, Lady Bramwell said, but he values competence more. Elspeth's pulse quickened. You are not blind, the lady continued. You know what has been at stake. Yes, and what still is. Elspeth inhaled slowly. I cannot remain here if this continues, she said. Lady Bramwell glanced at her. No, she said, you cannot. They reached the edge of the path. Lady Bramwell stopped. You have one advantage you have not yet used, she said. What? Elspeth asked. Truth, the lady replied. Elspeth's breath caught. My brother respects clarity, Lady Bramwell said, and sacrifice. She met Elspeth's gaze fully. Decide, she said, before he does. That evening, Elspeth sent a message. Not to the Duke, to Alaric. Meet me in the west corridor. After supper. He came. Of course he did. They stood facing each other beneath the tall windows, light fading around them. This ends tonight, Elspeth said. Yes, Alaric replied. You will leave Hawthorne, she continued. Yes, and you will not write again. He did not answer at once. She waited. That will depend, he said. On what? She asked. On whether this ending is imposed, he said, or chosen. Her throat tightened. This costs me everything, she said. It costs you safety, he replied. Yes. And it costs me you, he continued. They stood in silence. Then Elspeth straightened. I will leave, she said. The word settled heavily. Alaric's expression changed. You will not, he said. I will, she replied. Tomorrow. That is impossible, he said. No, she answered. It is clarity. You have nowhere. I have myself, she interrupted. He stepped closer before he could stop himself. You cannot trade security for feeling, he said. I am trading silence for truth, she replied. Footsteps echoed. time pressed in. "If I stay," she continued, "this will never be resolved. If I go, it will." "And what of us?" he asked. She held his gaze. "That depends on whether you follow." The words hung between them, not a plea, not a demand, an opening. "You would leave everything?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "For what?" he asked. "For the chance not to disappear," she replied. Silence. Then Alaric spoke. "You are not supposed to matter to me," he said. The line returned one final time, stripped of fear, stripped of restraint. "And yet," he continued, "you are the only thing that does." The corridor held its breath. "I will not follow you blindly," he said. "I would not respect you if you did," she replied. He exhaled. "Then I will meet you," he said, "where you choose to stand." The next morning, Elspeth requested an audience with the Duke. She did not beg, she did not explain. She thanked him for his generosity and relinquished it. The Duke listened, closely. "You are certain?" he said. "Yes," she replied. He studied her for a long moment. "Then go with my respect," he said, "not my regret." She left Hawthorne Hall before noon, with one trunk and no escort. At the edge of the drive, a carriage waited. Alaric stood beside it, not in livery, not in duty, in choice. He offered his hand, she took it, not as refuge, as equal. The carriage turned onto the road, not towards certainty, but towards something better, toward a life where neither of them would be required to vanish. And that, at last, was enough.
I don't call the night my shelter, I don't ask the dark to stay. I've learned how to breathe in quiet where words would fall away.
I was shaped by careful distances, by holding what was mine,
by standing where the ground was firm and never crossing lines.
Still I remain,
Still I remain,
still I remain.
when nothing is promised, I stay all the same. I have lived inside the waiting, I have trusted what is slow. If love is only breathing, then that is all I know.
I have learned to guard the silence, to keep my voice restrained.
But some truths ask no permission, and some hearts are not contained.
Still I remain,
Still I remain,
still I remain. When names fall from us, I stay all the same. If tomorrow shifts our footing, if the light becomes unsure, will you find me in the stillness? Not the vow, but what endure.
I won't ask the world to bless us,
I won't ask it to agree.
I will stand where you are standing, even if it changes me. I don't need a sign or season, I don't need the sound of proof. I am here within the moment, like snow upon the roof. I will know you without claiming, without memory or name. I will hold you in the quiet, where nothing asks to change. If I am only breath and waiting, only light you cannot keep, I will speak.
We are not made of endings.
We are not shaped by loss.
Love that stays without conditions
Never counts the cost. If I leave without a promise,
I will not ask you to remain.
love that stands inside the silence does not need a name.
Still I remain. Still I remain.
When all that is certain has loosened its name.
Still I remain. Still I remain. Not louder, not closer,
Just here,
all the same.
if love is only staying,
Then staying is enough.